Two, one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, and yo ho, it's a pirate's life for me. Oh, wait. Um, Sorry, I thought you were fellow mates getting ready to go after the Black Pearl. Anyways,
We're not doing
Tabby,
a Black Pearl
this
though. We're
was
doing Dead Man's, right?
yes, we are do. Tell them again, Tammy, which movie we are doing. What franchise is this?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates. That tells anyone nothing.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay, and what's the title that comes
Dead
after?
Man's Dead Man's Chest.
Okay, and why did you choose this one?
Because I have the hots for Johnny Depp. No, no, because I like I like the franchise.
And we have definitely gone on about the first one on this channel. So if you have not checked out that discussion, please do. You should be able to find it on Delusions of Grandeur. I know Boris did. I unfortunately, at the time that I was looking for it, did not find it when I was looking for it, but that's okay. It should be there.
Sometimes it takes a really skillful internet detective to find something. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I put it on the playlist of our podcast, so people should be able to find it a little bit more easily. So it was not. I've been adding our stuff to a playlist so that people can, yeah. But in any case, so do you happen to know who directed this movie?
No, that's your job.
Gore Verbinski.
Gore Verbinski, who also directed the first one, and I think he directed most of them, to be honest.
He also directed The Ring. That's what I memorized him by.
Which I remember.
Usually you bring up the IMDb because I can't.
You're talking about the Americanized Ring, not the original.
Yes, the American remake.
But which just recently came out with a box set on Shout Factory not too long ago. So
The Ring.
Yeah, the Ring, the American version came out with a box set through Shout Factory.
Oh, I have to look that up.
Might be have to be another birthday present or a Christmas present for someone, eh? But
maybe.
But that is not the movie that we're talking about. We're talking about the second film in the Jack Sparrow franchise. Let's. It is filmed in 2006, and as we said, it's the second feature in the franchise. Let's see what IMDb says about the film. Dead Man's Chest. I know that it has a 7.4 rating out of 10 on IMDb. So Jack Sparrow races to recover the heart of Davy Jones to avoid enslaving his soul to Jones' service, as other friends and foes seek the heart for their own agenda as well. Which is very vague, to say the least. But let's go around and see what people's first impressions are. So, Tammy, since this was your choice, what was your first impression of this movie? And was this your first?
Oh, no. I mean, the Black Pearl took a year to come out. So I'm glad this one didn't take as long. but I was looking forward to it. I saw it the day that it came out in the theater. It started to be, it ended up being a thing with all of them that I saw on the day of or close to when they came in the theater. So, yes, I have seen it many a times. Plus, it seems to be a favorite of the cable channels to play the pirate movies. So,
Huh.
um, but yep, I was looking forward to it, and yep, I enjoyed it just like usual. I mean, I like the different characters. I like the effects, the storyline. I always get a kick out of Captain Jack Sparrow. And
Yeah.
all his little antics. So, yep, I don't get sick of the pirate movies. I've watched them more than once because they were on TV. It's like, oh, okay. I don't see anything else that's gotten my attention. I'll watch that today. Even though I own them.
So I did want to say that Disney based this franchise on an attraction ride in Disneyland and Disney World.
Oh,
That
I can.
the ride first opened at Disneyland on March 18th, 1967. So
That
the
makes
ride has been
sense.
around for quite a long time. So um, a lot of the characters, I know you can watch the ride on YouTube. I know we did because there are various people who have filmed going through certain rides. Some that are not even like existing anymore. I mean, we just watched someone go through Splash Mountain, which has been canceled through the cancel culture. Um,
Yeah.
so, um, but in any case, so what about you, Boris? Was this a first time watch for you?
Well, yes and no. Pirates of the Caribbean is one of those franchises that are often aired on the various TV channels in my country. So it just so happens that I sometimes stumble upon one of them on TV, but it's usually not the beginning. So I watch a part of it while having lunch or something. But this is the first time I actually watched this movie from the beginning to the end. And yeah, it was good. It's maybe not the genre of the movie I normally choose for myself to watch, but it was good. I did enjoy some parts of it, especially the sword fights and the spoodaus, as I like to say, and stuff like that. And it's definitely one that, okay, I don't remember much from the first one, much to my shame, but as far as I remember, the first one had a good ending. This one not so much as an individual movie. This one definitely requires a further sequel, which I assume we are going to do at some point.
Yes, I know Tammy definitely plans on covering the entire Pirates of the Caribbean eventually. I'm sure.
fair,
Possibly.
fair enough.
But yeah, I I actually knew about Pirates of the Caribbean before I met Tammy. I had actually the first one in my possession before I knew Tammy, but while we were together in the first couple of years that we were together, we I think we both acquired the second and the third and the fourth, definitely through the Disney Movie Club, which is sadly deceased now.
You might have gotten it through there. Mine were
That's right.
gifts.
You had most of yours already. I ended up getting mine through the Disney Club.
Yeah, mine were gifts, except for like the last, I think maybe the fourth and the fifth one I bought, but the first three were gifts. So
yeah, something like that. But regardless, we both kind of have followed the franchise as it came out, and since it was kind of a thing for her to go to the theater to go and see it, it ended up being partially mine too. I was subjected to going to the theaters to deal with the crowds to try to watch the movies.
well, and at that time they didn't have the seating the way they do now either, so you was crowds.
Yeah, it was definitely crowded at that point in time, and even when they first started with the seating arrangements, people were still getting used to that backed and rolling around the aisle, which was annoying. But in any case, I went and saw. I think I went and saw this one in the theaters. This one per se was, you had to keep your attention to it because there was a lot going on. There was a lot of sword fighting for no reason.
Kind of, yeah.
And banter between all the characters. And it looked like the sword fighting was tough because they were doing it on tough terrain, on high castle like things, and it looked messy, you know. And but I think that Johnny Depp has a lot of humor in it. That carries some of the film. I mean, he's got that whole exterior. You're not a eunuch, are you? Yeah, type, you know, humor. Little seasoning, eh? You know. So
yeah.
I mean, it is what is. So let's get into the plot here for a little bit. So we start with a with a hanging, if I remember correctly. Correct? Because evidently, no matter what, he's a pirate, right, Tammy?
Right.
So, did you want to bring us into it?
It's a
Will Turner. Not Jack Sparrow.
Well, Jack Sparrow is under the hangman's noose at the moment. In the very beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's at Port Royal. He's under the hangman's noose. He's about to be hanged. Elizabeth is trying to convince her father and the Commodore that this is wrong. He's a good man. He shouldn't be hanged for being a good man. All that jazz.
But then the tables turn on her and Will, and they decide that for them sticking up for Jack, now they're being charged.
Well, a little bit happens before that. Her father buys her a dress, which ends up choking her, and she falls over the side and into the water. While or was
that's
that
the first one?
Okay, that's the first one. Okay, never mind. I'm thinking because we watched both of them, I'm getting them a little bit mixed up. So, basically, Will Turner has, with some of the help of the Black Pearl crew, stage an escape. And I do think that Jack escapes and gets to the Pearl, but before them two, well, that's right. Jack and Will escape to the Black Pearl, and he does it because he needs to get to his father or find his father or something of that nature. But
And Jack is looking for Davy Jones' locker.
correct, and he has this. He eventually is able to, with the help of the Black Pearl um, mates of his.
He has a picture of a key, and he tells the crew they think they're when he comes back on the ship they think that he's got like this like map or this or that or whatever, and he shows them a picture of a key, and then he's explaining about the key, and that they have to find the key, and then when they find the key, then they got to go find the thing, and the crew is just looking at him like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that sketch really doesn't distinguish that key from any other key in the world.
Kind of does,
But he thinks it does.
Uh,
So
well,
then the people, the whatever, the Navy or the guy that's in charge is charged Will.
there's a guy who's actually been put in charge of where the Commodore is no longer, and he accosts Elizabeth and her father, uh,
And Will.
and Will, and basically forces him to go find the compass.
Yeah, he wants Jack's compass.
Yes, and that's what he initially goes after Jack for, because then he will be able to provide Elizabeth with freedom and
Which
right.
eventually her father helps her escape, so she goes after them. So everybody's going after everybody.
Correct. Everybody's going after everybody. And then, of course, Jack begins to act strangely amongst his crewmates. And they don't know why.
Because he's got the black spot.
Well, and it just so happens that Bootstrap William Turner shows up on the Black Pearl and gives him the black spot and tells him that Davy Jones is coming after him, and he's like, but he's nowhere near. But he's got the Kraken, and the Kraken is coming for you.
So, what does everybody think about Davy Jones's ship and the crew?
Well, they look kind of nasty, but well made.
I think it's totally wicked. Look at it comes up out of the water like that, and the crew looks like the normal crew until moonlight hits them. I think that looks so cool.
Yeah.
But you don't get to see the ship right away. You see the Kraken. You see what the Kraken does. It just literally just sinks ships down like immediately.
Yes, because the Davy Jones is in league with the Kraken.
Well, he has the control of the ocean. He has this thing that releases this monster, and
Well, it summons them or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, and his ship is called the Flying Dutchman. Now, there is an old sailor's tale of a ghostly ship that flies in the sky, and it's named the Flying Dutchman. In fact, there is a poem, a very famous poem about it.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's one of the. I've heard say that if you see the Flying Dutchman and the captain of the Flying Dutchman, it's like a sign of your impending doom. At least
Oh,
what like if sailors came across a black ship, it wasn't the Black Pearl. I feel like the Flying Dutchman and the Black Pearl were kind of like the same. Disney made them two different ships, but the things I've heard about and read about the Flying Dutchman way before the Pirates of the Caribbean, it was always a black ship called the Flying Dutchman, and if you saw the captain on the ship, oftentimes it would spell your death, or at least that's the
whoa.
story. And you would always see only the captain. No one else would ever be on the ship.
So that legend is what the character of David Jones was based on.
Kind of, sort of. I feel like the two were kind of intertwined at one point in time. You know, at least that's what I remember. I could be wrong,
Interesting.
but those are the stories that I've heard. I mean, I used to be into like ghost stories and stuff like that, and I swear that was like one of the big C ones. You know, have you ever heard that tale, Tammy?
Somewhat, I think.
I mean, the flying part of the Flying Dutch would just mean that it was like a very speedy ship. Like it would be there 1 minute and then it would be gone. Like it was so fast that it could be gone. But there are men who have said that they've seen a black ship flying in
Right,
the
the
sky
pearl was
too.
supposed to be very fast. So that's I see what you're saying because the pearl was also known to be very fast, and you never know. The whole thing that Disney makes it is you don't how does Jack, but you don't know where the pearl's gonna make birth unless you know where the pearl is gonna make birth. You know,
Well,
that's what
yeah,
he always says. You know, because he always tells everybody he can't tell them where the black pearl is going to. You know, you only know if you know.
right.
That's always been one of his things, you know. And I like how they portrayed the Flying Dutchman though, how it just comes up out of the water like that. You know, I think it makes it look like it's flying. How they make it come up out of the water. You know,
Yeah,
so.
and
But
I
I
like
see what you're
how
saying. It kind of
many of the crew of Davy Jones are a little bit more deep sea fish looking than they are human, because that would mean that Davy Jones comes from the deepest part of the sea. You know, these are creatures that you would probably not really see much near the reef or closer to land. You know, so there's a hammerhead shark and a looking dude, and other type sea creatures among his crew. You know,
right. And Barbosa right now has got the Black Pearl, correct? And
correct. He was the captain of the Black. Well, he was Jack Sparrow's first mate until he
they
marooned
mutiny.
him on an island.
Right, but see now, but that um on the first one, the crew is cursed, and then
Well, yeah, that's because they
Barbosa
took the gold of Cortez, and so they were trying to in the
and
first
they
one.
thought Barbosa died.
Well, yeah, they thought that he had died.
So now Jack has the pearl back because everybody
Uh,
thinks that Barbosa is dead.
Correct.
But Jack owes a debt to Davy Jones, and that's why
Because
Davy Jones is coming after him.
he gave him 13 years with the Black Pearl.
Even though
And
he didn't get 13 years, it's been 13 years. That's what Davy Jones says. Davy Jones didn't listen to him that he didn't actually have the pearl for the whole 13 years. He doesn't care about that.
Nope, he does not. And the guy who plays Davy Jones underneath all that, he played Victor on in the franchise Underworld. If you notice his voice and the way he speaks, it is Victor, one of the Grandmaster vampires that Celine ends up waking up later on in the film.
So, Boris, what do you think about the look of Davy Jones?
Oh, he, as I said, I already made a joke about the Kraken now about David Jones. He also kind of looks like seafood, but not very tasty seafood.
Okay.
Well, they all have like a sea, like David said, a sea look to them. You know, they all have, you know.
Yeah, like with those tentacles.
I think Davy Jones looks a little bit Cthulhu-like.
Yeah, actually, good comparison.
A little bit Lovecraftian of nature. I mean, he's in the back of his neck. He's got the bulbous head of an octopus, but the rest of him are tentacles for the most part.
Indeed.
You know, I think I watched the behind the scenes the one time about how he got into that getup, and it was just like it was hours to get him into that. You know.
Oh, I can imagine.
I mean, some of him I think was CGI, but some of him was not. So.
Well, really?
Yeah, because there was a lot of makeup and mask wear that he ended up having to wear underneath that or over him, and to make the tentacles move and all that jazz the way they needed to that was CGI.
Makes sense.
But anyways, so yes, everybody is looking for Davy Jones's locker, as they put it. So.
Correct. Ultimately, they are looking for the heart of Davy Jones, to be honest. But now that Jack Sparrow has been marked, ultimately, well, Jack Sparrow acts so weirdly that he takes them off to an island to be cannibalized. Only. Well, part of the reason why. Oh, there we go. Before we go any further, let's get your first impressions, Ron. Was this
it's not the first time It's not the first time I've seen it. I saw them all a couple years ago. I watched them all in a row. I binged them all. I think I might have already seen the second one before that as well. So I think it was my third time. So yeah. It doesn't disappoint. These movies are pretty great. Special effects. You know, Johnny Depp is amazing as Jack Sparrow, and Wanda Bloom, and everyone, the whole cast is great. So just like I said in the first stuff, I guess we reviewed the first one. I'm sure I must have said the same thing then. Don't remember it, but evidently it was brought to my attention that there's pictures of us doing it. So yeah, I still think they're fake, but that's okay. Just kidding. Yeah. So yeah, I love the movies. They're all great movies. Don't
Okay.
really, I don't really have a favorite overall. They're all good.
Well, right now we're kind of like we were discussing about. We had discussed about what we thought of each ship, and what we thought about how Davy Jones looks and the crew looks right now. Those were kind of like the impressions that we had already gone through. If you had anything to say about the looks of the ships and what they could do, and the looks of the Davy Jones's crew and that.
Well, and then the ships were, pretty more normal. I mean, weren't huge special effects. I mean, they look cool. They look good. But the special effects of Davy Jones and the crew was pretty awesome.
True.
Definitely look different. Definitely look different. Davy Jones, Squid Head, and
Well,
yeah,
David was giving us a little bit of background where it kind of seems like Disney split up the Flying Dutchman and the Black Pearl, but in if in stuff that he had read before you came on, it
Yeah,
almost
because
seems like they're the same ship in the stuff that he was, in the folklore or whatever. It sounds like they
yeah,
were
in
the
the
same
folklore
ship,
that I
but then
remember
Disney.
of the Flying Dutchman, ship seamen would actually come across a black ship, and if they saw the captain of the Flying Dutchman, it would mean that their impending doom would be upon them.
yeah, I've heard that story.
And sometimes it's been a black ship in the sky, but oftentimes it be the appearance of a ship and a captain. And if you see that captain, your death is inevitable. You know.
Yeah, it's the Flying Dutchman though. It's not the Black Pearl.
But the Black Pearl is a black ship, and the Flying
Okay,
Dutchman.
but the Flying Dutchman is a black ship sometimes in the folklore, but it's not the Black Pearl. It's a different ship.
Yeah, what I'm
The,
saying is that I think that Disney, for the sake of the ride and as well as the
no, I think that it was never the Black Pearl. It was always the Flying Dutchman.
correct, I think it was always the Flying Dutchman. Disney took it upon themselves and used aspects of the Flying Dutchman with the Black Pearl. You know,
Right,
uh,
because Disney
the
bought it
original
and they can
story.
do whatever they want.
Yep. So, but
But I like
um,
that there's two ships.
Me too. Makes more
I do
sense.
too. But
Because
regardless,
they're both unique in their own way. Like I was saying, I love how the Dutchman appears. It just goes poof out of the water like that. Almost like it's flying. And then
Jack
the Pearl is
Sparrow's
still
It's
crew.
known
cool.
for its speed.
Jack Sparrow's crew does not know he has the black marks, so he sends them into land and under capture of a cannibal people. Where I believe this is where Will after after being was it? I think Will went after Jack Sparrow then.
And he ends up on the thing too. He sees the ship marooned on the island and goes looking for them, and then they capture him. So
Correct.
And then he sees Jack is like the head, and he's like, "You gotta get me out of here." And of course, Jack is like, "You gotta save me." And of course, him and everybody else is confused. What do you save him? But then we later find out what he was referring to, because yeah,
they're going to eat him.
they're going to eat him. Yeah.
I got such a kick out of the first time I watched it when they first saw Jack. Yes, as that they were worshiping him, but when they're in those cages and they're coming up that 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 wall and then that whole cage starts, they're tumbling, and then they're picking up the cage and they're running with it. The dwarf guy can't reach the ground, and he's just holding on, and they're running with the cage, trying to get away from the cannibals.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the other ones decided like they only needed 6 people and they had to race each other. Like, really? What was the point of that?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
they wanted to be the ones on the pearl and leave the others behind.
Right. Like I said, what's the point of that?
Evidently, the point was to kill them off.
Because I guess the way the mutiny was still going on, they wanted the ship for themselves. So,
Well, hey, that's what Greek gets to you. Yeah. You
Yep.
know, the good group was willing to share and be with be both, and they were like keep quiet over there so we don't get caught, and they fucked up.
Yeah, I think a lot of piracy has to do with greed to begin with, and that's why many of them had such a downfall. And some were able to escape.
we have to talk about a few of the things though. When Jack gets off of that spigot and he's still got the thing attached to him, and he's sitting there slinging
slinging the fruit.
melons and coconuts and everything else all over the place.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yep, and then of course it fell down that ravine, and
I get a kick out of how Jack runs. So
well, ultimately they do escape the island, and I do think it's kind of funny that the dog was left on the land, and they turned to it.
Meat.
Right? Ran after the dog once
Yeah,
they realized.
I even said poor dog.
Oh, yo.
But
no, we didn't. I don't know if we covered that they went to go see Callisto, right?
Well, yeah,
And she
they
gave up.
they went to see Callisto, but I think something happens where he's got to find 100 souls in 3 days.
Right, and she gave him a jar of sand.
A jar of dirt.
Dirt, yes.
That's what he called it. Well, I can always take the jar of dirt back. No, I'll take the jar. It's my dirt. But yeah, evidently she thinks that if he puts the heart inside that dirt, it's supposed to ground him somehow.
Right, because he can't come on land.
Okay. Yeah. So
his crew but he can't.
From there, they knowing that they have to get those 100 souls though, for in 3 days time, they decide to go to Tortuga. Meanwhile,
but in the meantime,
Elizabeth
Will gets caught by Davy Jones and gets caught onto the ship, which is he was trying to get on the ship because he learned from Jack that Davy Jones has got that key, and he needs the key.
Yep.
Plus, his father is on that ship.
Well, Will didn't know that until his father just
blurted it out.
Yeah. And was it here that he gets like 5 lashes?
Yeah.
and his father ends up having to do the lashes.
Yep.
So they go and end up at Tortuga. Also, Elizabeth, she escapes from her father's carriage before her father was accosted by that dude that seems to be working for the guy who is the now Commodore, I think, with the wig. Which the actor who plays that guy, he actually played Amadeus Mozart in the movie Amadeus.
Oh yeah, yeah, true.
So he has played someone in a wig before. um, but the guy who seems to be following them, even at Tortuga, I've seen him before in another Johnny Depp movie, From Hell. He played the Nickel Boy, the guy who was in charge of the Nickel Boys. And I've seen him in other stuff too, but he always ends up being a rough creature. I think he also played the guy who was speaking into the ear of in Gladiator, the ear of not Maximus, but the other guy. But anyways, I know that he's played in many different films. He Elizabeth escaped him and went to Tortuga on a ship. And while she was on the ship, the men thought they were haunted by a dress, and they thought that there were evil spirits about. And there was one night where it told them to go to Tortuga, and they apparently had a very nice shipment at Tortuga after that. But she ended up going on shore and running into the Commodore and Jack Sparrow and Will Turner, all at Tortuga. And the Commodore, well, no longer the Commodore. We see him with long hair. He's kind of drunk at the moment.
He's kind of dirty.
And he's kind of dirty. But he's got anger against Jack Sparrow, and he hires
Who doesn't?
him. Everybody's. In fact, the first time he was in Tortuga in the first one, he kept getting slapped around. Like, I'm not sure I deserve that one. I think I deserve that one. And I think I definitely deserve that one.
But yes, he's trying to get a crew. Jack is trying to get a crew.
Correct. They find Mr. Gibbs.
Well, now crew, he's trying to get 100 souls so he can trade their souls for his.
Correct.
Well, 99.
Correct. So they are able to gather a crew, and Elizabeth, she is told that Will Turner is on Davy Jones' ship in servitude, and she then.
And of course, like, Jack Sparrow's like, "I have nothing to do with me." Liar.
But Jack gives her the compass, and she's supposed to. He tells her how the compass works because it's not working for him. So
or so it seems.
Right. So he thinks if she tries it, then it'll work.
Correct. And it gives them a heading, so they end up going off in that direction. But there is also something else that is I would say as a somewhat introduced in this movie a little bit more is the fact that Jack Sparrow might be another man that she loves, and because uh, the compass is supposed to like point in that which she wants the most, and at one point the compass points at him. You know,
Oh yeah.
so I feel like they are trying to pit her up against Jack Sparrow as him being another kind of love interest of sorts, at least in this movie. Not necessarily saying that she's out of love with Will Turner, but there is a lust of some kind, you know, underneath it all. Do you all
Well,
think that there?
come on, who wouldn't want the bad boy? Come on.
Yeah.
Not
I'll be
us
right back.
males, not us mates.
I'll be right back. I gotta run to the bathroom.
But yeah, it's so he gets the crew and they find the heading and they end up at the island where the Davy Jones locker is, the chest, you know.
And where does the chest end up being?
It's on an island because they somehow, Will gets away. Will gets the key, which was kind of neat. How he got the
Yeah,
key away from Davy Jones and gets up with them, so they all end up going to that island. But the funny part is, then Will, Commodore, and Jack all get in a sword fight. They're all fighting each other.
well, yeah. The
Oh yeah.
Commodore,
What
he's
a
trying to fight
mess.
for his honor, which he thinks is Jack's fault. Whereas Jack kind of reminds him that no, it's not my fault. It was technically your fault to begin with. And the Commodore is like, but you know what? He's right.
And the
You know?
Commodore knows that um Elizabeth, I believe, has those pardons. So he believes if he gets the heart of Davy Jones and takes it back, he will be able to have one of those pardons and get his life back. So that's why he's fighting for the heart. And
Correct.
Will's fighting for it to free his father, and Jack's fighting for it to pay his debt.
Correct.
So they all have a different agenda of why they want this heart.
And I think you liked the part where they are running around on that wheel.
That was so cool, man.
And
Yeah.
the key was stuck hanging on something on the inside, and Jack he he got knocked out due to a bar that knocked him from trying to get the darn thing, and then he was outside of the thing, and then he ran back up inside the thing, and then he was running around in it like a hamster. It was funny, and then them two just kept at it. And Commodore, well, he did the smart thing. He took the heart, which I'm not sure if any of you realized you did.
Well, Jack took it to begin with, and Jack put it in that bottle. And then the Commodore got to the boat first. Well, he got to the boat, and you realized he saw the sand spilled all over the place, and realized that the heart was in that bottle.
Spodao.
So he took the heart.
And yet you saw him running off with the chest.
Right, because he was trying to get the Davy Jones's crew away from everybody.
Ah,
He wanted them to chase him and for the chest, and then he finally ended up throwing the chest at him and took off.
well, it was just funny that they were fighting all the way until the wheel just kind of fell into the water. It's like, dude, do you realize that anger settles nothing? Well,
Yeah,
and
that.
Orlando Bloom went from Lord of the Rings to this franchise, so I commend him for being able to do a lot for each franchise. You know.
We did. Yeah, it was around the same time.
So I know Orlando Bloom. Then after this franchise was in a version, I think, of the Three Musketeers as well. So that being said, it's then that they end up having to go back to the ship, and that's when Davy Jones ends up catching up with them and the Kraken, and they end up putting as much into they don't have a lot of cannon fodder for the cannons.
No, they dumped everything to try and get away. Anything that they didn't think they needed,
Correct.
they
So they put
dumped
everything.
to try and get away from the Dutchmen because they would make them lighter. But then they had no choice,
Yeah.
and they ended up fighting. When yeah, there's silverware flying and this flying and everything else.
So and Will said to Gibbs after he's like, "But we have nothing more down here than load the rum." And he's like, he thinks about it for a moment. The rum?
Why is it always the rum?
Right?
Yeah.
Both Elizabeth and Will are easily, readily willing to get rid of rum. So they are not true pirates.
Good point.
But they end up loading the rum, and to be honest, it's a good idea because they're supposed to take and shoot at one of the barrels, and at the exact moment that it's supposed to happen, and they
That the
do.
Kraken is coming up because they're fighting the Kraken now.
Correct. And it takes them. I mean, Jack Sparrow jumps off, and it looks like he's about to take the coward's way out, but then he comes back, and he actually takes the rifle in hand, and he explodes the darn thing, and it stops the Kraken for a moment, but it is going to come back up. And I think it's at that moment that that's all the crew ends up jumping ship, and Jack Sparrow sees the mouth of the Kraken on the other side of the ship, and he's like, "Hello, beastie," and jumps into
Uh, yeah, wasn't there also the moment when Elizabeth
it.
tied him up to?
Your mic is muted, Tammy.
Yeah, Elizabeth tricks him and comes onto him and kisses him just to attach him to the whatever that was. But she chained him to it so that he had to stay with the ship, and everybody else left, and she said that he decided to stay with the ship, you know, and but Will saw this kiss, you know, and yeah, Jack ends up getting out of the contraption, and the Kraken comes up and totally slimes him, and then he
Yeah.
He
does
gets his
that.
hat back. He gets his hat back.
Yep,
Oh.
and he throws some of the slime off and puts it on, and then he grabs his sword and he goes, "Well, hello, beastie."
So, did anyone want to say anything about any of this that we've talked about so far?
Well, we're pretty
Oh.
much at the end, so anybody wants to throw in anything, that was the time.
Yeah. What what was I going to say? There was a point where I wanted to say something, but I was interrupted, and then I forgot what it was.
Well, shame on you.
I'm
Were you
sorry.
thinking about those pieces of the Kraken being all ready to eat for you? You know.
Oh yeah, no, that
You
would
were
be.
thinking about the seafood kebabs.
Yeah, not sure how well our audience knows me, but I like seafood a lot. And when I saw that Kraken creature, I
Yeah,
thought,
you were thinking about calamari.
oh, yeah, yeah.
You were thinking about that shark meat.
Ooh, shark meat isn't bad either, but I'm more for things like squids, octopus, shrimps, things like that.
You can keep your
I
squid and
could go for a prong.
octopus.
I could
I'm
go
not
for a prong.
interested in that.
Fair enough. More squid and octopus for me.
I don't like slimy things.
They're not slimy when they're cooked up.
Mm.
I suppose you like oysters too.
I like
Oh
oysters.
yeah.
Oysters are awesome
Yeah.
if they're cooked right.
Well, that's it is something I like a lot, but I do realize it's something very specific, not everyone's cup of tea. I do realize that.
I I I had oysters sometime back at New China buffet. Those were pretty tasty.
Ooh,
Yuck. I don't like
oh yeah,
slimy.
and clams too. I forgot to mention clams.
The what?
Do you like
Clams.
clams? Haven't had clams.
Oh, I've had deep fried clams. I like them, and I like clam chowder.
Ooh, nice.
New England clam chowder. I've had New England clam chowder on Fisherman's Wharf in California before. That was good. But
Yeah, the one restaurant
Ron,
around
do you
here
like
makes pretty good clam
seafood at
chowder.
all?
Nope.
No.
And I live in New England.
You live well. You live near Boston, don't you?
I said I live in New England.
Gotcha.
And you don't like any seafood?
I do not live near Boston. Closer to Plymouth.
You don't eat any seafood?
A little bit, but not much. I'll eat fish sticks.
I like shrimp. I like
Ooh.
deep fried scallops, deep fried clam strips, crab a little bit, lobster somewhat.
Oh,
That's as far as I go.
I would love to try lobster. Unfortunately, I haven't had an opportunity to try that, but I have no
Gross.
doubt that.
I've had lobster, but I'm not a fan of cracking the lobster tails to get at it. Like I think I've had lobster nachos.
Oh, ooh, bloody hell, that must be amazing.
It is. I mean, unfortunately, the place that sells it is might be closing down.
Damn.
Yeah.
Red,
Sorry
Lob-
to.
Red Lobster has lobster tails and lobster nachos. They tried to file
Oh,
for bankruptcy and they lost out on it. I think.
lobster nachos. Now I must Google that. Let's see. Lobster
I
nachos.
know it's made with lobster meat, and I think you can buy imitation
Ooh.
lobster too, just like you can buy imitation crab meat.
Anyways, we
Yep.
should get
So ultimately, the black, the rest of the crew of the Black Pearl ends up back with Callisto and regrouping after they have apparently lost Jack Sparrow, and she's like, "Well, we need a plan, and you need a captain. So here's your captain." And down steps Captain Barbarossa, who knows these seas, and he's like, "So, what's happened to me, Black Pearl?"
and she asked, "Are you willing to go to the ends of the world?" And that's the to get Jack back, and that's the precursor for number 3.
Correct.
Yeah, it's definitely an introduction to a sequel.
Oh yeah. So, at the end of everything, what did y'all think about the production overall? Ron, what were your thoughts on the production?
Well, like I said before, the special effects were great, so they were good. You know, the monsters or whatever the hell you want to call them. You know, the undead pirates. Well, well, a lot of them are undead, but the creature like undead ones, definitely looked really great. And the flying Destiny was definitely a good looking ship.
Okay. What about you, Boris?
Oh, the production was definitely amazing. Can't complain about that. All the masks and CGI effects for the creatures, and also all the crazy acrobacies the actors apparently had to do during the fights, the running, this and that. It was all really well done. I can't think of any detail that could have been done better than it was.
Oh yeah. Heading over to you, Tammy. What did you think about the production overall?
I thought the production was great. I mean, how they made up Davy Jones was just awesome. And then, the Kraken itself was cool. And then all of the crew that are on the Flying Dutchman, it was the imagination it took to make all of them and everything. I thought was really neat. And to make the Flying Dutchman, the ship itself, and how they make it come up out of the water like that. It's just like it's really neat. It's um I I like the effects. I like the sword play in it is as cool because it's sword play, but yet there's always some comedy. It seems like in a lot of the sword play, which makes it cool. You know, they're not straight on just I'm fighting you to the death. You know, there's always something else going on with it. You know,
Yeah.
so it makes it unique. You know, like one of my favorite parts is they're in that wheel and they're trying.
Well, yeah,
That
you're
is just
you're used to swordplay being part of a revenge technique. Instead, it's like it's because I'm angry with you, and I'm angry with you. We're gonna fight, you know, instead of just I will avenge thee type, you know.
right. It seems like they're not really looking to actually. They want you to think they want to kill each other, but it's like they're not really looking to kill each other in a way, you know.
It
Yep,
So
did.
and I think that definitely this movie had a lot of cool effects. I like the character of Davy Jones. I mean, you always think of him as this cursed person that has his heart down in a locker. The imagination that it took to put this creature together and to make them look a little bit more cursed and whatnot, to be able to make it work. Um, I definitely feel like they took ideas from H.P. Lovecraft to make up Davy Jones as a character and the rest of his crew, and all that jazz. So both the ships were amazing. The Leviathan or Kraken, or whatever you want to call it, the way they made those tentacles look ferocious, and when it came up and Jack Sparrow was like, "Hello, beastie," and when he
well, the
when he
thing
got
is
his,
just so huge. It's just
yeah,
huge.
it is so huge, and then he just jumped into it. Uh, have at thee, type. I think at the end of the day, I think Jack Sparrow has a spine, um, probably even better than some of his comrades. It's just the way he acts as Jack Sparrow. Sometimes he acts like the coward, you know.
And
Um,
he acts like he doesn't care about anybody but Jack.
Correct. And I think that's what I like about his character is that he's got that nonchalant, uh, you know, don't give
But
a
at the
shit.
end of the day, though, his heart ends up being in the right place at the end of the day, no matter what. You know, it's you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. He
Yeah.
ends up being a good man, even though he comes off as a bit of a dick.
Yeah, he tries his best not to be a good man.
Which is why he lost his ship. I think it's why you know. But
Well,
yeah.
I guess we should go into like favorite character, favorite
Well, we
scene.
should go into music.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
true.
The music. Let's see.
I like it.
Uh,
They always got that same music when they're fighting. You know, it seems like
Oh yeah, the it was good. I think I read the music was by Hans Zimmer, if I'm not wrong.
I believe are correct. I'm looking it up right now. It is indeed
Interesting.
by Hans Zimmer.
Interestingly enough, Hans Zimmer also worked on the music for The Ring, which was, as already mentioned, directed also by Gore Verbinski.
And he also worked on the music department on the new Dune, Gladiator. He worked on 149 episodes of The Simpsons. He worked in the music production of that new movie, the Blue Angels. He also did the score for that movie that we just watched, Tammy Damsel, and
Which one?
Damsel,
Okay.
and the creator. Let's see, Top Gun Maverick. He did some synth programming for. But yeah, Hans Zimmer has done a lot of stuff.
But do you like, you know how like Jaws has got like a certain, when you hear it, there's with the pirate movies, there's that certain um part, and it's the pirates. The pirate movie. It's he's got a certain part in it, a certain musical area that you hear that musical piece, and you know that you're what it's the pirate movies.
Oh, remember
Indeed.
that? Remember that movie Life Pod that we did, Boris?
Yes, actually, yes, I remember.
He was the composer for the theme music for that movie.
For real, for that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Wow.
And he was a music supervisor for The Lion King, the video game
Oh
as well
yeah,
as the movie. He
I
was
know
an
about Lion
arranger.
King.
He was an arranger of the songs for Muppet Treasure Island. He worked with Troma on Pterodactyl, a woman from Beverly Hills. That was a Troma movie.
Oh,
He was a score producer for Twister. He was a music producer for The Rock. He was a score producer for Face Off. Score
Let's
producer.
just say he's done a ton of stuff, David. We don't have to
Yep,
mention
he's
all.
done a ton of stuff.
Yes.
So, but in any case, he worked on Jason X. Anyways, moving forward to favorite scenes and our favorite characters. Well, let's start with you, Boris.
well, my. I know this is kind of a shallow choice, but my favorite scenes were the Spoodaus. And the fight against the Kraken was also very good. And favorite character, well, I guess it would have to be Jack Sparrow, kind of difficult. Oh, yeah, another funny scene was
Captain
when. Sorry, what?
Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, Captain Jack Sparrow, I'm sorry. And another really funny scene was when Elizabeth was holding that dress on strings and making people think it was acting on its own. That was like it was a haunted object. That was hilarious.
And when they were looking in an entirely different area than she wanted them to be, she was annoyed with them for that. She jumped down and was like, "Oh, what's that over there?"
Yeah.
But alrighty, what about you, Ron? Favorite scenes and our favorite characters?
Captain Jack Sparrow, and I don't know when they were trying to, the whole scene when they were trying to get away from the cannibals and everything, the going back and forth was kind of funny, and then Jack like falling all through all the bridges and everything, and of course then I have to mention the end when Hack gets spit back at him and he's like that's not so bad, and then he just like runs at the Kraken and stuff. And of course, we know there's more movies, so it's not the end of Jack Sparrow, Captain Jack Sparrow. So yeah, And again, Will was great. They're all great actors and they all did a great job. But Johnny Depp was born for this role. I'm so glad that Disney sucked it up and apologized and got him to come back.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, Johnny Depp got himself involved with a crazy lunatic woman.
Well, we're not gonna discuss that, but Disney fucked up and they knew they fucked up and they gave him his job back and got him to come back. So they did the right thing.
Well, yeah, I think there is going to be another Pirates.
Yeah, there is. Now, if
So,
they just get Russell Brand to be his cousin or brother or something, it'll be perfect.
Cool.
That'd be absolutely the best ever. But yeah.
alrighty. Heading over to you, Tammy. Favorite scenes and favorite character.
Well, of course, Captain Jack Sparrow is my ultimate favorite character because I've always said all along that I don't think Johnny Depp is really even acting. He plays it so well. He is Captain Jack Sparrow. But a very close second though would be Davy Jones because I don't know. I like the character. I like the look. I like the whole thing about Davy Jones. Favorite scene? Well, one of my favorite scenes is that sword fight in that wheel. That is just.
Oh yeah, that was a hilarious one too.
And I already mentioned about when they were in the cages and they're running and everything else, and they got the cages and everything. That one was really good too. And then, yep, that ending, kind of almost ending scene when he goes, "Hello, beastie." So.
Alrighty. And I do have to say that my favorite part is when they're on the island and they're having to escape from the clutches of the cannibal people and everything that leads up to their escape from that the whole black mark part where his crew doesn't even know what's going on and he's acting funny the way that Gibbs is speaking about him. Yeah, the captain is acting very peculiar. And of course, I do like that organ that the Davy Jones is playing upon when you first see him singing to his lost Lenore, which and the fact that he's reminded in Will Turner of the fact that Will Turner is in love with a woman, and that it's very possible that he could switch places with him, and get out of this curse that he's been part of, and so on and so forth. Definitely the fight with the Kraken was a favorite as well. Favorite character is, of course, Jack Sparrow. I kind of feel
Captain.
I know Keira Knightley is good looking in both of these movies, but as the movies go on, I actually thought she got a little bit more thinner.
She got even more gorgeous than she ever was.
Towards the end, and I feel like I don't know, maybe it has something to do with her health or something, but I feel like she was better looking in these two movies. But That doesn't mean that she's not a good actress or anything like that. I just felt like she had a little bit more meat to her bones in these two movies. And
Interesting way to say it.
it annoyed me that she got rid of all the rum in the first movie. Like I was exactly in my mind saying in my head, but what? Where did the rum go? Where did it go?
So you could imagine yourself in Jack's situation.
Well, I'm not an alcoholic, but I do know the value of rum. And if what's to say that bonfire did not work? She's getting rid of all of it.
That was great.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not an alcoholic, but if I'm on a deserted island and I know I'm going to be there for a long fucking time, the rum would have been food enough for like ever. May
Yeah,
not.
well, he needed him sober.
Well, she was also burning the coconuts. I mean, I just can't get behind that. I just can't get behind that. Not entirely. But at the end of the day, I think the movies are solid, and I enjoy them. I enjoy the humor in them, and I think they did a good job, at least as far as here, and as far as continuing the franchise. Like you can't just end a movie with that. You have to continue the story. So, on that note, did anyone else have anything else to add?
The rum. Why always the rum?
Indeed.
Honestly,
yeah, that
rum is better tasting than whiskey.
Yeah, that was great when he's like, "It's Elizabeth. Hide the rum."
he did say that before she got on the ship. Hide the rum.
Well, no, when he found out it was her, because at first he thought it was a boy, and then he realized it was Elizabeth. He's like, "Elizabeth." And then a second later, he's like, "Hide the rum."
And of course, it's Will Turner who actually says to Gibbs to get rid of the rum later on. So
does he?
Yeah, he's the one who tells Gibbs. So put the rum in with it. So, but on that note, if anyone doesn't have anything else to add more,
no.
Alrighty. Well, hopefully,
just be looking forward to part 3 one of these days.
Yes,
fair enough.
Definitely. So hopefully you all out there have enjoyed our discussion on the Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. Like, share, and subscribe. Let us know down in the comments what you thought of the discussion. And if you haven't seen the movie, go out and see it. It is a lot of fun, even though there's a lot going on. And next week, we are going to be covering Minority Report. Since it's my turn now.
True.
So, and I know, Boris, you won't be with us next week, but
unfortunately,
we'll
so. Yeah, like I said, that's fine. Yeah, this has been happening kind of frequently these days that I have to travel somewhere for a week and then we always postpone it because of me, and that's just not fair for me to do to you guys all the time. So yeah, that's fine.
Well, we'll miss ya.
Yep, we'll miss you.
Thank you.
But in any case, And I think this is only fair. Let's see. So next week, we'll afterwards we'll see who's next. I think it's back to you back to you, Kroll, after me. So have a choice by next week. And then we'll make sure that you're able to find it. If find your. That's why I always try to make sure that we're on the regular show. So I try to tell them, hey, make sure that I have the film, because if I don't have the film, then I have to try to hunt it down, and I can't just download it.
Brandon always provides it for people.
Brandon's got different apps, has access to different things than David does.
Correct.
What?
And for the most part, I'm able to download, get a copy of whatever we're watching. But there are times that I can't even get a copy. So that's why I try to keep it within stuff that I know that I can reach for. And I try to make sure that others do the same.
Yeah, we kind of had a situation last week with Dark Zone 13.
Well, I almost did. And then
We did have an issue.
yeah, we did. And I think we need to make sure that everybody can get a copy before that following week, or whatnot. So after the show here, we'll be discussing on who can get a copy of what and where. And if you can't,
Okay.
then I will provide. So in any case, like, share, and subscribe. I'll see y'all later. Actually, stay afterwards so that we can make sure Kroll can find this movie.
Okay.
And
Goodbye.
everyone say good night.
I'm not looking right now.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good day, everyone. I'll see you all later.